Giving honor to the original peoples of this island, I want to express my gratitude for the opportunity to address you today. I was inspired by the conference opening. It reminded me of a hymn, Lift Every Voice and Sing, written by James Weldon Johnson in 1900, from the context of African Americans in the late 19th century. The hymn is a prayer of thanksgiving to God, as well as a prayer of faithfulness and freedom, with imagery that evokes the biblical exodus from slavery to the promised land. And I want to sing that hymn for you. I have the lyrics on the screen. And throughout this keynote, you'll see the lyrics, and I'm going to sort of draw some parallels between what becoming a researcher looks like, the dominant culture's way, and what becoming a researcher looks like the Carpentries way. But first, I'll sing the hymn. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Thank you. I'll send around a little collection plate at the end. Who shapes the digital skilled workforce, not just for today, but for the future? In this keynote, I will reflect on my journey into research and the pivotal role that community and collaboration play in digital upskilling. Drawing insights from the Carpentries global volunteer ecosystem, we'll examine the evolving landscape of digital skills development, what must change, but also what must endure, and how we can sustain progress. Together, we'll navigate the challenges and opportunities, or like we like to call them, chopportunities, that lie ahead, exploring practical strategies for fostering an inclusive and resilient digital research community. And my hope is that you'll leave with fresh perspectives, new connections, and the confidence to actively shape a resilient and empowered digital future together. So please prepare something to write with, paper, your phone, your laptop, because I have a few questions for you, and you're going to answer them throughout the hour. My name is Kari Louise Jordan. I am named after my maternal and paternal grandmothers. I was born in Detroit, Michigan, in the United States, a city that occupies the ancestral homes of the Ojibwa, Ottawa, and Powhatan people. I have earned degrees in mechanical engineering and engineering education, including a Doctor of Philosophy. I have conducted research, and despite years of feeling like an imposter, I can stand today boldly and declare that I am a researcher. So who else in this room is a researcher? Raise your hand. Okay, so some of you look confused. by the question. Others of you have confidently raised your hand, and that is why meetings like this are so important. This space is where we can be challenged, we can be inspired, we can be refined, but these kinds of events are even more important for the people who are not in this room, the people who are not privileged enough to have access to travel funds, the people who benefit from our research. They're the subjects of our research, but they don't benefit from it. And if you're in this room thinking to yourself, well, that's not my problem, I'm here to tell you that you're wrong. All week, we have heard from each other about the emerging trends in digital skills research, from artificial intelligence and improvements to research infrastructure, to open science and open source software and hardware, to traditional knowledge and community building. There's growing adoption of AI-driven data analysis and automation. There's increased need for AI literacy to evaluate and interpret models. Ethical considerations in AI include bias, transparency, and reproducibility. More researchers are using cloud-based and HPC environments for large-scale remote collaboration like Jupyter Hub and RStudio Cloud. What must endure is the way we advocate for the importance of foundational skills, critical thinking, collaboration, ethics, and data sovereignty. The idea that the data are subject to the laws and governing structures of the nation where that data is collected. So having said all this about the landscape of research and digital infrastructure, what has evolved and what we must endure, I want to hear from you. What skills do you believe are most critical for the future of research? Take a moment and jot some notes down. Everyone. This is not optional. What skills do you believe are most critical for the future of research? I'll give us 1 minute. Ding, 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 ding. That was the bell. What skills do you believe are most critical for the future of research? So without looking at what you wrote down, I'm confident that at the very least you wrote data wrangling, visualization, bias detection, version control, reproducible code, among other skills. Am I right? I know. And you're right, you are right. All of those skills are very important. The future of research will require technical skills to navigate the evolving digital landscape. So you are right. But I also submit to you that the future of research will increasingly rely on a combination of technical, analytical, and collaborative skills. And that is where the Carpentries is here to support. Our vision at the Carpentries is to be the leading inclusive community teaching data and coding skills. We empower a diverse global community by equipping individuals with essential data and computational skills by promoting efficient, open, and reproducible research practices. And by fostering collaborative development of openly available lessons and research-informed teaching methods, we build an inclusive network of practitioners and advocates who emphasize the critical role of software and data in advancing research. As I reflected on my journey becoming a researcher, I compared it to how we operate at the Carpentries. And I have to confess, I've had to unlearn everything that I was taught by the dominant research culture. The collective norms, the values, and the practices upheld by the prevailing research culture in America has influenced societal standards and expectations that are anti-Carpentries. And let me explain what I mean by that. The dominant research culture prioritizes competition, prestige, and proprietary knowledge over transparency and openness. There's a publish or perish mentality. Researchers face pressure to produce high-impact publications quickly, discouraging careful documentation and data sharing. Negative results and replication studies, they're rarely published, leading to publication bias and lost knowledge. Fear of being scooped discourages researchers from sharing their data before it's published. Institutional policies and proprietary interests limit access to data sets, hindering collaboration. And even when data is shared, it may be poorly documented or stored in inaccessible formats. Many studies lack detailed methodology or code for replication. Limited incentives exist for reproducibility efforts or open peer review. You don't have to agree with me, I'm right. Just say, ouch. It's true. Research knowledge is often locked behind paywalls. Junior researchers and those outside of well-funded institutions face barriers to participation. Gatekeeping in academia can restrict access to collaboration opportunities and funding. Universities and funding agencies often prioritize intellectual property over public knowledge. Conflicts of interest in research funding influence study designs and outcomes. Traditional reward systems favor individual achievements over collaborative open research. Open science practices require time and effort and infrastructure that many institutions do not support. But the Carpentries way is to act openly. We believe that transparency, honesty, and fairness are keys to fostering trust within an open community. This is my first week on the job, 9 years ago. I love that picture, my evolution. The dominant research culture is competitive. It's exclusionary and individualistic, where researchers prioritize personal gain over collective progress. Researchers, not y'all, I'm talking about them, withhold data, methods, and findings to maintain a competitive edge rather than sharing collective benefit. Some senior researchers act as gatekeepers, controlling access to funding, publishing, and collaboration opportunities. Career advancement is driven by individual prestige rather than collaboration. The academic system rewards quantity over quality, incentivizing rushed or selective reporting of results. Junior researchers, postdocs, and students are overworked, undercredited, while senior academics take most of the recognition. Toxic power dynamics discourage dissent, making it difficult to challenge unethical or flawed research practices. Conference travel, publishing fees, and elite institutional networks exclude underrepresented researchers. Research careers favor those with wealth, privilege, or institutional backing, making it harder for marginalized groups to even enter the field. And decisions are made behind closed doors, limiting input from diverse perspectives or non-traditional contributors. Funding structures prioritize trendy, high-return research over foundational or community-driven projects. And open source tools, community resources, and long-term collaborations are underfunded and undervalued. But the Carpentries way is to empower one another. We help people build knowledge by creating a conducive environment for the exchange of skills, perspectives, and experiences that empower people and enable them to reach their potential. Yes. The dominant research culture dismisses or devalues certain contributions while prioritizing only a narrow set of achievements. Contributions from teaching, mentorship, community engagement, and service work are considered secondary or unimportant. Only those in powerful positions get their names on papers, even if they had little involvement. Early career researchers and marginalized groups are left out of authorship, despite doing significant work. The work of technicians, data managers, and software developers is often treated as invisible labor. Contributions from practitioners, community researchers, and indigenous knowledge holders are dismissed as, that's not real science. Open science, public engagement, and interdisciplinary work are undervalued in tenure and promotion. This kind of culture leads to burnout. It leads to inequity and disengagement, as many essential contributors feel underrecognized and undervalued. But the Carpentries way is to value all contributions. The dominant research culture is so rigid, it's rigid, resistant to change, and dismissive of new knowledge and perspectives. Established theories or methods are treated as unchangeable truths, even when new evidence suggests otherwise. There's little room for critical self-reflection or growth, leading to stagnation in the field. Emerging fields in open science and data ethics are seen as unnecessary disruptions rather than opportunities for progress. Researchers refuse to engage, not y'all. Some researchers refuse to engage with interdisciplinary knowledge, dismissing insights from other fields. Criticism is seen as a threat rather than an opportunity to improve. Mistakes are hidden or denied rather than treated as learning experiences. There's little investment in mentorship, skill development, or professional growth. Some institutions resist updating curricula, policies, or research science. Open science, reproducibility, and transparency efforts are viewed as unnecessary burdens rather than essential to progress. This mindset stifles innovation. It stifles progress, and it stifles inclusivity, and ultimately it makes research less adaptable, less impactful, and less relevant. But the Carpentries way is that we are always learning. We are always learning. We're responsive, we're curious, we're receptive to feedback, and we're eager to learn. The dominant culture is exclusive. It's dismissive of diversity. Access to research funding and leadership is limited to a select group based on institutional prestige, personal networks, or identity. Women, people of color, LGBTQ plus individuals, and other marginalized groups face systemic barriers to participation and recognition. Hiring, promotions, and funding decisions favor those who fit the dominant culture, reinforcing structural inequities. Policies and practices fail to accommodate caregivers, low-income scholars, and those from non-traditional backgrounds. Non-Western knowledge systems, indigenous methodologies, and community-based research are dismissed or undervalued. Interdisciplinary collaboration is discouraged, reinforcing those rigid academic silos. Unchecked bias, harassment, and discrimination drive people away rather than inviting them in. Those advocating for diversity, equity, and inclusion are ignored, overburdened, and sometimes even penalized. This kind of culture leads to missed opportunities, a lack of innovation, and decreased trust in institutions. But the Carpentries way is inclusive of all. We welcome and respect all community members regardless of their identity and expression. The dominant research culture prioritizes systems, productivity, and prestige over the well-being of individuals. Success is measured only by output, impact metrics, or financial gains, with little regard for the people doing the work. Burnout, overwork, and stress are normalized rather than addressed. Decision-making is top-down with little room for input for those who are directly affected by those decisions. People are seen as replaceable resources, not valuable members of a team. Organizational policies are rigid, making it difficult to adapt to individual needs. Diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts are performative or non-existent. Those in power hoard opportunities and recognition and resources, leaving others struggling for support. A cutthroat survival of the fittest mentality. It dominates. The focus is on individual prestige rather than collective success. And this type of culture leads to disengagement, resentment, and ultimately a decline in innovation and trust. But the Carpentries way is people first. We believe the individuals who make up our community are the most important part of our organization and our strongest resource. The dominant culture is exclusive, restrictive, and elitist. Opportunities, resources, and information are only available to a select few with the privilege, the status, or the right connections. Credentialism dominates. It dismisses the lived experiences and alternative expertise. High costs, institutional barriers, and pay-to-publish models, they limit engagement with little financial aid or funding for the underprivileged. Accessibility is an afterthought. Materials lack accommodations for disabilities, like non-English speakers are just totally excluded. In-person events disregard those facing travel or visa restrictions. Research remains locked behind paywalls, and decision-making spaces are closed to outsiders. Historical inequities persist, leaving many underrepresented in research, education, and leadership. Nowhere in the decision-making process. But the Carpentries way is access for all. We prioritize accessibility, creating multiple pathways for participation where all can learn and contribute. The dominant culture is individualistic and competitive. People work in isolation, hoarding resources and knowledge, while communication remains closed. Decision-making is exclusive, favoring those in power while dismissing marginalized perspectives. Centralized leadership discourages grassroots involvement, and collaboration tools are underutilized, making it difficult for diverse groups to work together. Siloed efforts lead to inefficiency, missed opportunities, and a lack of innovation. Without shared ownership and accountability, blame replaces problem solving and trust erodes. But the Carpentries way is community collaboration. We foster collaboration across borders, domains, and initiatives, empowering people to achieve shared goals. The dominant culture values uniformity over diversity. It discourages differing perspectives. Bias and discrimination shape hiring, promotions. It reinforces those rigid hierarchies that exclude marginalized groups. Systemic inequities go unaddressed, and power is concentrated among those who are resistant to change. A lack of diversity experiences, it leads to narrow problem solving, stagnation, and exclusion. Diversity is treated as an obligation rather than a strength, and it limits opportunities for innovation and progress. But the Carpentries way is strength through diversity. We empower a diverse community to use data and code to address critical challenges in science and society. Let that sink in. And if you can't say I agree, just say ouch. Now, in your notes, reflect on a time when a community or collaboration helped you advance your skills. Reflect on a time when either a community, being a part of a community, or a collaboration helped you advance your skills. In about 2 minutes, I'm going to ask that you share that experience with a neighbor, whichever one you like the best. I won't judge. Reflect on a time when being a part of a community or a collaboration helped you advance your skills. You ready to share? You picked your neighbor? That was wonderful. It's dangerous allowing you to talk to one another. Thank you so much for indulging me in that exercise. We will have time to talk again. Don't worry. These are the 9 core values of the Carpentries. They guide our decisions, and this is what it looks like to become a researcher. I want to issue my call to action to you very early. Pick one. Pick one of these values. Jot down a few notes on how you can use it actively. Just pick one. How could you use one of these values to contribute to a resilient and inclusive digital research ecosystem? Now, there's a saying in my circle. I don't know if it means anything outside of my circle, but it goes, don't bite off more than you can chew, right? Looking at this list might feel very overwhelming. How are we supposed to do all that, right? That's why I said pick one. But I'll also give you some practical ways to get started so you don't have to bite off more than you can chew. Ensure that research outputs, data, and tools are openly available and accessible to all, including those with disabilities and individuals from under-resourced institutions. Some ideas: implement inclusive design practices such as screen reader compatibility and multilingual support. Create transparent decision-making structures. What? That include diverse voices, particularly those from underrepresented and historically excluded communities. Establish clear policies for participation, leadership, and accountability. Provide training, mentorship, and resources to equip community members with technical skills and soft skills. I don't actually like calling them soft skills. I think these skills are actually very important. They're not soft because these are needed to contribute effectively. Develop inclusive curricula that addresses different learning styles and levels of expertise. And encourage respectful dialogue. Acknowledge diverse contributions and create mechanisms for feedback and conflict resolution. Implement codes of conduct that promote inclusivity and a harassment-free environment. And then use open source tools, interoperable platforms, and decentralized models to ensure long-term resilience. It's easier said than done, I know this, but prioritize community needs rather than solely institutional or commercial interests. I want you to think about your role in shaping the future of digital research. We all have a part to play. And commit to one action step, just one. If you're unfamiliar with where to go to get help, I want to encourage you to check out a few of our collaborators. I have their names and logos up on the screen. Of course, Nessie, Invest in Open Infrastructure, 2I2C, RSC's AU New Zealand. These are just a few of the organizations that the Carpentries has collaborated with and learned from over the years. Write down one action step that you will take to contribute to the future of research, whether it's upskilling, collaborating, or mentoring others. Write down one action step that you will take to contribute to the future of research. Skills, community, and resilience will shape the digital future. I encourage you to prioritize collaboration. I'm actually begging you to prioritize collaboration as we shape the future together. I give thanks to the conference organizers and all of the Carpentries community members in your room. Raise your hand if you're a Carpentries community member. Raise it higher. Thank you. And I want to leave you, before we get into the sharing of it all, there's more sharing. I want to leave you with the last stanza of the hymn that I sang at the beginning. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I know we will, I want to actually prioritize the action steps that you all committed to. I'm going to be here all day, so I'm definitely going to answer questions. But if we could prioritize first hearing from a few people in the action steps, I really, really would love that. And then maybe take a few questions at the end. Is that okay? Okay. Okay.
Yep. Does anyone want to go first?
Don't make me call on you. Thank you.
I grew up in Kalamazoo. Yeah, we're I guess Michigander siblings.
Yes.
So it's really great to have you give this talk here because I don't think we could do this talk in the U.S. right now.
No, we could not.
And I wanted you just to talk a little bit about how that makes you feel and where we are, because I'm following you. I'm giving the next talk.
Oh,
and I want to reinforce kind of what you've been saying about Carpentries and just about how you view the world, because we have a long road ahead.
We do have a long road ahead, and it is hard. It's hard. Thank you. It is hard as a Black American and as a woman. To be told that the systemic issues that have impacted your career and the work that you do are no more. It's hard. And that is why I have to do the work that I do. But that is also, we need advocates. We need those who are not afraid to stand up for me and to stand next to me and to speak on behalf of me if I'm not in the room where you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
Would anyone else, thank you, like to share their actions? One action step. Thank you so much.
I have one.
Yes.
Would you like to write a book together?
Oh my goodness, yes. I would love that very much.
Yes, let's talk.
Okay. Or, oh, do we have a hand? Oh, we had a hand. Okay.
Kia ora, and thank you so much for sharing and for the conversation this morning. My action step is to try and get us all together more and share what we're doing so that we can be stronger together.
Thank you. Thank you. One other question I have for you all, and I realize that I'm sort of preaching to the choir. These are all the people who are already doing all the things, right? But which of these Carpentries values is probably the most difficult to implement where you are at your institution or within your team? Is there one that you feel you've tried and maybe you've gotten a lot of pushback? We have a hand over here. Is there another mic?
Not answering your question, but your earlier one, you've pretty much described the professional ethics of librarians, and there are several of us in the room. But of course, we work in organisations and publishing structures that don't make some of that easy. So several of us have committed across the CRI sector and elsewhere to collaborate much more. So that's kind of my one. But of course, how, and we'll get to that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And then I still remember your hand was up on this.
I have a question for the audience, and to give a happy story.
Yes.
So within New Zealand, we've been running an event called ResBaz since 2016. And through COVID, we've come together as different organisations and run that online and made it open so anybody and their dog can attend any of the workshops, cherry pick from whatever they like that week. So we're running that event with colleagues in the room. Where's Murray? Murray, you here? Yep, Murray. Just one of my folks who helped me with this in a different institution. So if there's anybody here who would like to contribute to, and Bridget, hello, contribute to ResBaz by running a workshop, requesting a workshop, promoting it, getting people to come, please do so.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
So in terms of from where I'm sitting is the most important action at the moment, of course, so I'm a data science researcher in a Crown Research Institute, and of course the Crown Research Institutes are all about to be shaken up and merged into mega CRIs and various things. So the one that really resonated with me that you were talking about personally was about the community collaboration. And I'll be talking in my talk later today about a fantastic example of that we've just had with Callaghan Institute. I put it out there to the other people who are in the CRIs. You may be in a similar position. There have been a huge number of barriers to collaboration up until now, and they are basically can all be sheeted home to the structure of the CRIs and the way that they've been funded. And collaborations can go along seeming to be working really well, only to turn into competition at the last minute, which is really, really depressing. So I'm putting the challenge out there. I think for the CRI people, we've got an enormous opportunity as we move into this new world to go in deliberately saying we are going to bust silos and we are not going to build any new ones.
I think we have space for one more comment, and then I need to take a break.
Yep.
I'm a comms manager for Nessie. So one of the important roles of my job is to show the impact of the science that we're supporting. So I think we often try to do that through case studies and showcasing the users on our systems and also the people who are helping them use the systems. And I think one thing that I could do is really try to showcase more marginalized people in those positions so that we can amplify and raise the exposure of them, whether that's different in a diversity of domains or people from smaller institutions. And different people in different roles and stages in their careers as well, too. So that's a role that I can take and that I'll try to commit to do, that we want to do anyways, because it shows the value of Nessie, too. So, but yeah, helping those people and amplify that up so that they can be role models for other people to see and hopefully model themselves after.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We have a panel today. I forgot the name of it. Is it a BOF?
Yeah, well,
Okay, so there's a BOF today where I think we're going to have more of these ideas. This idea sharing is so important. So I encourage you all to stop by the BOF as well this afternoon. Thank you so much for having me.